Okay, we are in our usual warm-up
because it's very warm.
despite the rain.
Mm-hmm.
New typo.
Keeping my eyes on the monitors. So far, no one has joined us. It is a Tuesday, so that's understandable.
I'm just trying to put the links out right away.
It's okay. Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, my connections are borked. I cannot see view count again.
Mm-hmm.
I should file a new ticket and once again create drama on the restream support side. We appreciate the service, we don't pay for it, and yet complain about problems. One moment.
Mm-hmm. So it seems the rainy season is back, which has led to much warmer nights in general.
Which is weird. Well, I guess more humid nights is a more accurate description of the dilemma we are facing. Bam. A little better. As usual, we can't see if you are watching, so it helps if you comment, say hello, hi, welcome. It's sad I don't see Pico yet. This is Pico's topic. He suggested, although he shares partial credit with Kenny, because it was a comment conversation that happened. What were we talking about when this came up? Was it Growing Up Geeks? I can't remember.
Probably.
Maybe. And talking about handhelds.
Or it was one of those we were discussing video games and then it spun off to handheld consoles.
And it's I feel like it's kinda ironic because
I feel like sneezing. Keep going.
I did it. And then flash fact. Toby feels most comfortable sneezing in threes. So if it starts, it's gonna have to be followed up very quickly with two more.
Which I always was told it was a allergic reflex.
No, I think it just feels comfortable. It is what you are used to, or something like that.
So someone has joined us, but we can't see you till you comment. Please feel free to do so, just so we can, greet you as well.
Yeah, but we're about to start, regardless, even if we're all alone, talking to our screen. Hello, screen.
Well, we could always just talk to ourselves, to each other.
Then why do we have this camera on? Oh. No, but really, I mean, this whole live stream thing is born out of just wanting to feel like we're socializing and hanging out with people.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
Hey, David.
we could just record these videos and upload them after, but then we lose the interaction. Whoa, Dane, hello,
Hi, Dane.
Twitter friend. And David, hello.
So yeah, we're just. I guess let's just make it a flat 10.
Okay,
Two
we'll
more
start at
minutes.
9:10.
So while we're here, we have two Ds.
But on different platforms, so they can't see each other.
So yeah, it's been raining. It's been more humid. It's been busy.
Guys, it's
Quite
almost
busy.
October.
Yes.
It is almost the final quarter of the year. How? And I have like fourth quarter projects rushing approval by tomorrow so that we can set up on the following day. So I don't know. It's gonna be weird. Hi.
Things to look forward to. There's the O-Bar event happening this weekend.
Yeah, we're super gonna plug. They have a Zoom party. It's the first O-Bar Zoom party, and then it has sponsors and stuff. But then, of course,
There will be raffles.
there's a raffle for alcohol from the likes of that's Bacardi, Grey Goose, that group. So that's exciting. I can drink their tequila and their vodka.
And that hesitation is because of the keto diet Rocky's in, and not a reflection of the bar. In
No,
case
no,
some viewers are like
I'm just
wondering why.
double checking what I can drink, and then like I mean, not I have nothing against like rum and stuff, but then it's I'm not a rum Coke person since I can't Coke, and then just rum is a bit rough. So we'll see. And I do hope a lot of people join in. I don't know how crazy that's going to be with like a gazillion people on Zoom for that. I haven't really joined the other like club nights.
I always
that
still
happen.
have my hesitations though, because this is still the Philippines. And
Yeah.
the moment anything's a paid event, you have a lot of drama from people who for somehow have this misconception that as long as it's on the internet, it must be free.
Yeah, and especially because we're definitely we have purchased individual tickets, although we will most likely dial in one computer, just to support because hey, O-Bar hasn't been operating for months. Anyway, we gotta start.
This is Toby.
It felt so abrupt. This is Rocky.
Well, you did abruptly tell me to start. And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is it's the variations that get me. This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us, we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. Today we are spending
Why are you laughing?
30 minutes. I'm laughing at myself. We're spending 30 minutes more or less, more of the times more, talking about different topics. And today's topic is all about our personal history
with handheld gaming console. We're not good for this sort of thing. And admittedly, I slapped on the personal history because it used to be like a brief or a brief history of pocket gaming consoles in terms of how it was suggested by Pico. But I don't think we are experts on the. Ironically, we are not experts on the handheld console gaming world. And we'll get into why, and we'll talk about it. So, Toby, what's your intro for talking about handheld gaming consoles?
So, handheld gaming consoles has been around much older than most realize. For most of us, our earliest memories would be the Game & Watch.
I don't think that's most of us, but okay, it's for us, but not for them.
Yeah, for most of us who think we know what's the oldest one. Because others will say, oh, the Game Boy was the oldest. Or
Yeah.
But for most of us who believe we know the oldest, we'd say the Game & Watch. But in truth, it goes even further back behind that. And it's now behind an adult.
The article is good.
as early as the late 70s, Mattel released LED based handheld devices, which had everything from baseball to missile attack, armor battle, and other
This
similar
feels
video
like
games.
along the same levels of like a speak and spell,
Mhm.
and those kind of toys.
But you
Hey, it's
can't-
Pico.
But you can't discount that those are video games on a handheld
That
console.
is true.
Around the late 70s
We are
as
reading an
well,
article.
Milton Bradley released the Microvision, which was very. The company was known more for Hungry Hippos, though, so we will not talk about their product much longer. Other than
They're
that,
a board
it
game
existed.
company. Yeah.
And come the early 80s, that's when many of the Game and Watch systems then come in and become, the source of our, oh my gosh, this is a video game and I can bring it.
I realized that my caveat for the Game and Watch industry is that I did not play any Nintendo Game and Watch games. I played Casio Game and Watch games,
And even,
which is funny.
I guess that's one thing that we have to consider, that when we say Game and Watch, we mean a wide variety of different types of games. Some people might think Game and Watch is just that single screen with the buttons on the side. Others remember Game and Watch to be the one with the panel that opens up, or the one with two windows that open up. And some might even remember it to be toys that had a transformable element to some extent, but still were playable to some.
So I am victim of like what I love to call the Colgate syndrome, where a lot of people call all toothpaste Colgate, or like all soda is Coke or stuff. So Game and Watch in itself is a brand of handheld consoles created by Nintendo. I did not play any of those. Instead, and I will show you very briefly, I played this one Casio handheld thing, which was SOS Titanic. And the whole, I should increase this a bit more.
Mhm.
And the whole point of this tiny game is that this is the rescue ship, that is the Titanic, and you will move your little
people
rowboat.
before the sharks show up.
Yeah, to pick up a person and bring them back and just keep going back and forth. And that was it. That was the extent of what this game is. But meanwhile, Game and Watch refers to a wide variety of Nintendo machines which support the different games.
And Game and Watch goes very, very what's the word? Innovative. Because they weren't content with just that darn single screen. Eventually, there were Game and Watch devices that had the dual screen wherein you play from
It almost
one,
looks like a DS,
but you
know?
climb up to the upper portions. And there were even later Game and Watch devices, and I'm not sure if we will find those. There, on the side, for example, that use this accordion type system. Because
I think I saw one of these.
Because it was using the reflections to create this 3D-like effect. Because suddenly objects, like let's say our shark, would appear on a 3D-like
Yes, I've seen
display
this.
thanks to
I've seen
that
this.
reflect effect.
Okay, and then on a side note, guys, you missed attendance. I see you're late. Sorry. So next time, huh? Okay, and then, but yeah, so yeah, that was the funny thing, and I only fully appreciated this now. I did not play any official Nintendo Game and Watch units. I played Casio SOS Titanic.
Now, the magic of Game and Watch was the fact that it was using the persistence of motion, the illusion of motion in your eyes to make the game work. Because it did not, like modern day computer games, have lots of moving graphics and the like. It really resorted to poses and other poses. And usually there was a certain beat or a certain rhythm when you should move. So
My
like,
gosh, Bernard's here. Hi, Bernard. He
Hi, Bernard.
mentions he played the brick game. We'll get to that.
yes,
we'll get to that.
we're getting to the brick game because officially the brick game is different from
Yes.
Game and Watch.
Yes,
And-
although it's the same concept. Because what's most notable about all the Game and Watches is that it was a dedicated like handheld console that only played one game.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess can't really call it a console, but it's a dedicated mobile game. But it. So if you want to play Mario, like quote unquote, you want to play Mario, you have to play that buy the one Mario Game and Watch.
Officially, Nintendo's Game and Watch released a total of 60 different games.
That's actually a lot.
And
That's like a 60-1 for a Famicom.
and that's not counting, of course, the fact that eventually many of these games get pirated or copied or changed in some way to be released in their own ways.
Oh, wow,
So yeah,
that look fancy. Oh, okay. Then I think, and then sorry. What did you want to say? I'm excited.
go. We can go to the next topic.
Okay. So I googled like images, and then, but more. I think what had longer longevity was the frickin' brick game.
Yes.
And I think Yes, mine looked like this or something similar to this. And the brick game was a blatant ripoff of Tetris
Mm-hmm.
as a handheld game unit. And this thing could only, well, okay, I lie. It did not only play Tetris
Mm-hmm.
because there were variations. I know one had like a starship game where you shoot, but using Tetris brick shaped spaceships.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah.
ultimately what the brick game brought into the experience was innovation. Given that they were,
Oh wow, so many people. Wait, so many people. Okay, but yeah.
yeah, given they were practically stealing the game that is the awesome game of Tetris, and they had none of the license to use that game,
Yes.
they were forced to find ways to say, no, our game is different. And that led to all these different innovations in how it's played. Everything from different shapes, they use different
polygons.
no, they had the term polymos, polyminos.
Poly-
Yeah, they had a social term for that.
I don't know what
They
you're going
coined
with
the
that.
term. And then they even involved some other mechanisms, like some games suddenly was a shooter.
Yes.
It had the brick game design. But
Did
it
you
was,
have the 8-in-1 brick game, which had variations? And then, like, yeah, I know there was a spaceship game, a shooting game. But yes, Karen, was it Karen who
let's go to
highlighted?
comments.
Okay, I highlight Karen because was also Uso during the long brownouts. Yes.
Yes.
So this was peak early 90s. And when you didn't have power, you could at least play the brick game. And I think the most hilarious thing for me was that we had to have multiple units because my grandmother played
Mm-hmm.
and, wanted her own dedicated time and was very upset when her high score would be overwritten. And these things only worked off standard batteries, so sooner or later they will run out unless you were fancy and had rechargeable batteries. But I remember playing a brick game long into the night and the batteries were weak and you're already like viewing it at an angle because it's the only way and I didn't have replacement batteries. Jeanette's like, Game and Watch always wondered why some of them needed a canopy and then some had a mirror. So the canopy was, I think, more if it's two screens. But earlier, Toby was talking about the parallax effect for
the
3D.
canopy. Some of them didn't require the need to darken the area because they were not really able to use LED lights the way we use LED lights now, which is like super.
Because they were basically calculator LED screens, right?
So they needed to darken things so that the things that were brighter could pop out. And then you had, of course, the mirror effect, which had that 3D nice effect. And I remember there were some that were really good that that's going ahead of ourselves. Because that's where the first real 3D games came out, and I'll talk about that later.
I guess we can talk about, and I'll close this screen, but so I had a lot of consoles. I had a Famicom. I had the Sega Genesis. We had a Dreamcast. We did not really focus on mobile consoles for some reason. It always felt like such a luxury symbol. Like I remember in grade school, and my more than one busmate had a Game Boy, and I was very, very envious. But I never had a Game Boy because the answer of my family was the only thing you should be doing while moving around is at most reading a book. So because especially if they make noise and stuff, then they didn't want noisy devices in the car. So we could read in the car, but we couldn't make noise in the car. So no handheld consoles for me for a very long time. So I always wanted a Game Boy, but never got one. I read a lot of comics about Game Boy games for some reason, but I never had one.
So I, on the other hand, I had a very computer-filled life. From the Commodore 64 from the start to the initials of the Atari and the like.
Okay, fine. We also had an Atari 2600. Are we throwing down here? Do I have to
wait, we're talking about handhelds.
Okay.
Just preambling.
I'm just defending my preamble.
With the computer games that existed, my parents insisted that I don't get a brick game because we had Game & Watch toys.
Okay.
And of course, my parents go, these are Nintendo. So if we're going to get
I like brand consciousness.
A handheld console, it has to be Nintendo. Which brings us to the Game Boy.
Okay, I've already stopped, but I didn't have one. So go talk about the Game Boy you had.
we had a Game Boy, and it started with the monochrome, gray colored, black and white game.
Commercial break. My has stopped as the spoiler shark have an arm in his mouth.
We're talking about handheld. So yeah, we had a Game Boy, and the Game Boy was one of our favorites. I spent hours playing Tetris on that thing. I barely played anything else but Tetris, and I will admit that gray device with the red buttons was such a thing I loved so much that I hated everyone else who was playing on the brick game because I couldn't play with them. But I still did not want to let go of my Game Boy. Um, I was the type of kid who splurged on my Game Boy. So I
Okay.
bought that magnifying glass to make sure it was
Oh
bigger.
my god, you're one of those.
I bought those shoulders to
Let's
make
look
sure
for
it
the
had bigger
Game Boy
arms.
accessories.
Oh yes. I even bought my specific bag that had those perfect pockets for the Game Boy cartridges. Yes, there, that's it. That was me. I used to be that sort of kid, and
Oh my
I loved it.
God.
It was for me. Um, the way people now go gaga, how they personalize their laptops or how they personalize their phones. That was me when I was young, and now I don't care. But yeah, I spent a lot of money on that, and I remember there were many times I felt so bad about being a kid. You drop stuff, and the next thing you know, oh, the magnifying glass has a scratch, and suddenly alignment isn't perfect, and it makes everything terrible. But nothing will compare me to the pain of discovering something called the Game Boy 3D. I
Oh,
don't know
I
if you will
remember that.
find it, but that
That
was
was a
red.
weird experiment, right?
Yeah, that was the red screen Game Boy. I don't think they have easy pictures to find. I'll try to find one.
Okay.
But it was a red and black Game Boy that tried to show surreal 3D. And I don't know if I'm just mixing it with memories, but I remember
Maybe you're blending it something else.
being so obsessed over it that I suddenly hated my monochrome Game Boy. But yeah, when that heartbreak happened, I shifted back to console. And by then, I moved away from Nintendo because I discovered Genesis. I discovered the Links. I discovered, yeah.
As a avid Sega Genesis person, then I figured like in the console wars, I guess I'm on Sega's side. So I did want a game. It was a Game Gear, right? And Game Gear was fancy because hey, it's colored, and because to be fair, what's this? To be fair, Nintendo hung on to the original Game Boy for a long time. And so, Sega was in a good position to swoop in and then like, hey, we have a colored console and you can play Sonic the Hedgehog. I never had one.
Yeah, quick comments. Pico Shares had a Game Boy secondhand, not colored. Jumped to Game Boy Advance as a gift for being top one.
Wow, humble brag. No. And then let's just drop that you were top one there.
And
Okay.
then Angelo, my office mate, Angelo mentions, damn, bumili ako dati. I even bought lights for it before, and I wasn't able to use it because his eyes will get destroyed according to his mother.
I think that's also why we didn't have handheld consoles. The whole
Yeah.
screen thing.
And the parents really love to say that it was the equivalent of watching TV too long. Since you're staring on that screen.
Or watching TV too close.
Yeah.
And I used to sit on the floor.
Yeah. Oh, I found it, by the way. It's called the virtual book.
Oh, it was okay. That's what you meant. Okay. Yeah. I remember that.
Okay.
It was strange. Yeah.
Yes, there you go. So it was supposed to be the first 3D experience because it was showing a video for each of your eyes, and it was supposed to have that. Oh, and I was so angry because I couldn't buy that, and my parents were like, you already have other Nintendos. But to be more precise, you already have a Nintendo.
Yeah. So boo-hoo for you.
Go on.
Yeah, and then okay, so no real exposure to a lot of the
Mhm.
handhelds in between. So I don't know why I largely stayed out of the Nintendo world, even from a console perspective.
So no Turbo Express,
Oh my god, we're just going through a list.
no Sega Game Gear, which I
Yes.
think was we God wanted a Sega Game Gear. Only
Yeah.
because it had Sonic.
And it
had-
was colored.
Mhm.
Okay, then wow, Sega Nomad. What the heck is
Yeah,
that?
that was a later release that they had.
Tiger
There's
Electronics.
a
Neo Geo Pocket Color.
which I liked, but I
Wow.
hated the fact that it looked too bulky.
Look at that. Then it's 1998 when Game Boy finally says, "Hey, Game Boy Color."
Mhm.
None of those. None of those.
Yeah.
And then, oh my God, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, N-Gage, the Nokia N-Gage, when they said, "Hey, we're gonna get in the game market,"
Mhm.
and then finally the PlayStation Portable. So I didn't personally have one. I know my family, my brother got one.
Mhm.
Eventually, and we got. I forget.
Eventually, we got one.
We got one too
Yeah.
because I remember we played Patapon.
We got one because we were so enthralled with the idea that the PlayStation and the PSP supposedly had games,
That interconnection between.
but then we never
PS
really got to experience it.
Yeah.
And eventually, we realized we liked playing more on the console because on the device it was only really usable when we'd be on trips and I would be driving, so you get to play, but you'd rather read than play.
Yes.
And it reached a point we were barely using it.
Okay. And and for full context, again, it ties back to how I was raised, right? So no loud noises in the car,
Mhm.
no playing games and stuff. So even like when I still used to commute to and from work, like we lived in Cubao and I'd have to
Mhm.
travel to Makati or BGC, it was never quite my. I never felt comfortable bringing out a console in public transportation.
Mhm.
That felt very scary, and so I was never comfortable with it. So I never really felt inclined to do it. I am more likely to hold up a pocketbook, even when I was riding the MRT. And I got a lot of book reading done that way.
It's still scary to travel with a device.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like bringing out my cell phone when I'm commuting.
Yeah, so same thing. And then like I don't bring up my Kindle, so I just bring out actual books, physical books when I'm on public
Mhm.
transport. But for a lot of people, it's the prime time for playing games. So I guess that sort of ties to why I never really got too much at the handhelds.
Quick comments. Pico mentions.
Pico Defense is number one thing, and like you only got to do it once, fine.
I
And
wanted
then
the Neo Geo in the
Neo
past
Geo
because it was featured in a gaming magazine.
Neo Geo had good ads. I thought it felt very attractive as a console, even though it's like, what will you play? Virtua Fighter or something? Or I don't know.
At the same time, the different console brands were struggling because Nintendo at the start dominated the market because they had Nintendo Power and no one else had a magazine. But eventually, other magazines came out like GameSpot and the like, which suddenly it became all about having the more interesting ads.
Yeah. Okay, Maya asked the question we were talking about before this video. Were Tamagotchis handheld gaming consoles? It's hard to. It depends on many things. It depends on whether you define a Tamagotchi as a game because it was a virtual pet.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as Toby likes to make fun of me, I have played games like Abyssrium and Penguin Island, which are essentially Tamagotchi games, which are not really games because you just watch things happen. So I don't have a firm answer for you, but our general thought is that Tamagotchis are a unique device in themselves and not necessarily games. But if they were closer in nature actually to a Game and Watch because it's one game on a small device.
I would also state that some might go against it in the sense that Tamagotchis are closer to toys than games. But then one would realize that because one looks at toys as something you play with and they don't necessarily have a win or lose condition or a beginning or end. But many games now as well follow that. Stuff like Minecraft or it's up to you how long you'll play and as long as you want to keep playing. So there is that challenge of defining things sometimes. We will choose to define Tamagotchi as, yeah, sure, it's a handheld console, a handheld game. Why not?
Okay, and then David lightly jumps in with Pon Patapon. I super got into Patapon. I played like all the Patapons I could on that one PSP, and awesome. I super enjoyed rhythm games. Okay, he also shares his first hand was a Game Boy Advance, but he played the original Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. Wow, thus my exposure to Pokemon was strictly through emulators. I played through red, blue, and yellow all on emulators. I am a terrible person.
Why are you a terrible person?
Because I didn't really support Nintendo. Okay. Because like Net 25 channel, feed your mind. because Net25 was very high tech for the time as a UHF channel. Wow. Okay. Um, so we did get so there was a period of time we bought someone a Game Boy. Oh shit, what do we say? Advance?
And yes,
NDS. A
yeah,
Game Boy DS. Game Boy DS.
yes,
So that was
a
interesting.
Nintendo DS.
Got to a Nintendo DS. It's not a Game Boy. It's a Nintendo DS. We got to play a few of those games. That was quaint.
Hmm.
Um, and then but that was ultimately his device, and we didn't really
Hmm.
get to keep it. But since then, I think there hasn't been really a strong desire for any of the handheld stuff like the Vita and whatnot. Although I know we were tempted by the weird under haptic feedback of the
Yes.
Vita for things like a Little Big Planet, or I mean,
They were
the
games
demos they were showing that you
allowed,
could tap under.
yeah, a finger could tap from underneath and have additional surprises from underneath.
Mine was a DS-like person, she says. Okay. And then I think it brings us to like the modern era of like Switch dominance, which I feel has become like the console of choice for quarantine
Yes.
for some reason. And it's a weird hybrid of it can be used as a traditional console attached to a TV, or it can
Yes.
be a handheld, which is cool.
So it allows you to share the experience as something everyone can see, or it can be something you play alone. And then it has capabilities to connect with other players as well. I mean, internet through internet, which for some handheld consoles in the past was relatively unheard of.
Yeah, so I thought the initial Switch premise was great. It's a good gimmick. The whole from handheld TV back and forth, even
Mhm.
though you end up with really tiny controllers with a high probability of fail. Um, I know a lot of friends are constantly replacing their controllers, but again, I guess like, ever since the PS3, we have been stuck in gaming limbo
Mhm.
because what's this? We're still trying to finish all of our PS3 games for as long as we can get the PS3 to still run. I know that some of the games have lost network support already,
Mhm.
like your Metal Gear lost its online thing already,
Yes.
but you still finished it, and so that is why we still haven't gotten a higher console, and it's also why we haven't gotten a Switch, even though everyone and their dog is playing things like Animal Crossing and whatever the latest Smash Brothers, and I still have a soft spot for Cooking Mama, so
there is that realization as well that as much as console games can be fun, apps are terribly
not
convenient
bad.
to get into. I mean, the need to set up the place so you can play, and setup can be as simple as needing to turn the damn console on and make sure your controllers are charged.
As opposed to I'm already holding my phone,
Yes,
and then I
so
can do something.
it's
I got a new case, guys.
It's unnecessary friction points, and when you are our age, there's that. I'll just use my phone. Why would I
Ooh,
bother with that?
Toby's being technical and says friction points. Toby, care to explain what is friction points in terms of gaming and digital stuff?
So typically, a great white shark can travel through the water without hindrance. But
If you put hands
if there are
around.
hand barnacles like this one holding the great white shark, the
I didn't
great
see
white
the Street
shark
Sharks episode.
will have trouble moving. So that causes a friction point and keeps the shark from moving from one place to the other efficiently and escaping. Oops.
You haven't brought it back to gaming. You enjoyed your shark analogy.
So, in a similar way, games have friction points in the sense that there are all these little elements or reasons for a person to decide, I'd rather not play. It could mean a very intensive series of guides and introductory rules that bores you to death
Long
to go through it.
cutscenes, long
Or-
non-skippable cutscenes.
In the time of when online games were very new, it would be registration pages that required you to sign up and enter your email addresses.
And especially when the registration is outside the game, it sends you to a website and like, make an account. Okay, yeah, that's friction.
But friction points can exist even beyond the first or the start of the game. Social games were known for this, wherein you play, and you can only play if you add 5 more friends. And you're like, F this, I'll play something else. And you'll play a new game where it's you'll play, and you need 5 new friends. I'll play another.
It's like it's like when I guiltily play clicker games. There comes a point when the exponential jump to the next level is too tedious. Then I stop clicking and I try another game.
Ultimately, that just shows that games are, as much as possible, designed for a specific target in mind. And generally, producers then step in, not developers, but producers step in and go, no, we want a wider market. So add this, add that, make it for this and that. And suddenly it's a hodgepodge. But those are friction points.
And so and then as long as as long as we are a couple who's living together, then I don't think a handheld console is really going to be a strong proposition for us. Because we want activities that we can share and the like.
Mhm.
A Switch could have had some potential because then, Toby and I love local co-op options because then we can play together literally versus something that requires us to be both online on our own device.
Now, for clarity, we do play games that one might like and the other doesn't. And we've probably tackled this in some of the episodes. I, for example, really dove into Metal Gear Solid, and I still love playing every now and then a few missions because it's just fun to feel like you're someone who's that awesome.
He just likes dressing up Snake.
Yes, that too.
Or dressing up his animals.
Whoa. Rocky, on the other hand, has his moments where he would like to play certain games. And while there are games I can jump in with and play as well, sometimes I just don't really...
Just say it. They're Lego games. I like playing the Lego games by Telltale Games. I love the Lego games. And I guiltily play them when I want to. And I always feel bad. Like, Toby, you want to join in and play with me? But then, admittedly, I'm not as efficient when Toby's playing with me, but okay.
But deep down, you like the Lego games because it allows you to make a mess and clean up all in a few bell buttons.
I guess. And I just...
destroy everything!
The completist in me loves the Lego games because it gives you clear, definable goals for completion. And we have all of them, and I have not finished all of them.
And it's these kind of games that we really relish and enjoy. And plain and simple, if the PlayStation, it's supposed to be 5 now, right?
The 5 is coming out. David was like, let's start. No, David, all Lego. Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Lord of the Rings, Marvel,
yes,
DC, Batman, which became DC superheroes.
Yes.
I have Lego Dimensions. I have most of the Lego Dimensions figures.
Yes.
I love the Lego games.
I think the only ones you don't have are the Ninjago specific ones, if there are any.
I didn't play the Ninjago games or the Ninjagos, but I even have the Lego movie Lego game.
Yeah, but to complete my thought, had the newest consoles simply proclaimed, "Oh yeah, your old games can still be used in this," and it's not they will still work, but you have to buy them digitally or some crap like that, we would gladly move just so that we would still have better hardware.
We're never gonna let go of the old games,
but
guys.
We love our old games. There was a time. Actually, no, there was a time. I do still have some of my PlayStation 1 discs somewhere there.
And for a while, we were still holding on to his PS2. My gosh, in the hopes of reviving it. Quick comment round out. So yeah, don't have both. I really desired a PSP at the time in the 3DS era. And then so we did have the PSP. We had that brief experiment.
Yes.
But then we just kept forgetting it. And then we generated the weird friction point of when we would get in the mood to play the PSP, the battery was not charged.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's
And then finally this year,
year, we were reminded to dig it up.
Because there was a newspaper article going around warning people that I think we've hit the 10-year mark. So if you own a PSP, check the batteries because they might have bloated up. True enough, ours has bloated up.
I'm just glad we still found the PSP.
Yeah. So we still have a functional, pretty clean, we've never really dropped it or anything PSP.
There's probably just some bulging in the back because of the battery. We took the battery out.
We don't really use anymore. And I don't even know if we can even still sell it because who will buy
a PSP?
So yeah,
because I very much agree with these kinds of games. I mean, it blocks me to progress with those kinds of mechanics. Yeah, Angelo has added the very helpful. We want the LTV to be 1 year for this clicker game. Hey, a clicker game that you play for a year? That's awesome. Well, I don't think I've lasted a year on any clicker.
I had a dream of a clicker game that would be played for a year. it was basically one that veered towards idle games, wherein it will only tabulate based on the real time that's passing.
Oh, that's terrible.
So you literally have to ignore the game, so you keep playing it.
It's a novel. It's novel, but that's a huge friction risk because then you're not generating active users.
But the moment you kill the game, you stop tracking. Anyway, but our topic is handheld consoles. So
but Pico shares your joy. He also shares his PS2 discs, but no console anymore.
Yes. And I know that there was a point in time when I rejoiced when I learned that the PlayStation 1 discs could be played on the PC. I know that's been totally nullified now because of ROMs.
Yeah.
But I also know recently there have been news of ROMs no longer being available. So panic. How will we keep our joy of retro gaming alive? So
that's
going back
when we
to
brought
consoles.
this up when we were talking about retro gaming.
So going back to handheld consoles, handheld fun.
I
and since we have to wrap up,
I kind of want a Switch one day, but then I think by the time we decide to like maybe we'll get a Switch, I don't know, the Switch 3 will be out or something, and then we're like, oh, I guess we should wait some more. But I think it's really more novelty. But again, because of it just feels weird. Like I mean, I see a friend on Twitter who keeps selling this Switch package. It's like it comes with a Nintendo Labo boxing kit. It has a lot of accessories because he's just selling it off for I forgot whatever reason. It is tempting to get it sometimes, but then am I really going to play games? I feel guilty when I'm reading beside Toby and not engaging with him.
Although that's fine.
Yeah, I know, but there's that. So what more if I bought a console that like I'm going to play with separately?
And I guess part of the frustration there as well, for us at least, is that if we did get a new handheld, we'd be like, wait, when are we going to use the PS3, which we already rarely use?
And we're too invested. We have too many games.
And mind you,
too many physical discs.
Mind you, this lack of time is also because we love cleaning the house in certain instances, like vacuuming moments, doing the dishes. So there will be instances, for example, I'd be playing Metal Gear Solid.
You're going to trigger people again.
And then Rocky is going to be, I'm sorry, I have to vacuum. And I'm there trying to sneak in, and this guy with a vacuum cleaner keeps crossing my path.
Hey, I don't repeatedly cross, especially if you're playing. But if you dredged up dust because you dug out a game, then I will vacuum up the dust. Okay? Excuse me.
So
and Snake cannot hear the vacuum. He will not be found because I am vacuuming.
Yeah, but G-Dog might. So you
just like dressing up G-Dogs.
I don't know if there's going to be any handheld gaming consoles in our future. I know the draw to get certain games is there, but part of me keeps just hoping that this tech war stops, in the sense that if they just make the games all working on mobile devices, then they just need to sell peripherals. But of course, they'd rather...
Suddenly, it's like, what happened to Stadia?
But that's the thing. They'd rather maintain this this battle between PlayStation and try to have exclusivity and all this and that.
Wow, we haven't even touched on like the Microsoft side of things. Like the Xbox. Did Xbox ever try to have a handheld? I don't think so, right?
I sort of recall there was one. I can't remember the name. But ultimately, it's all their own attempts to build their own markets, which I feel, had they just focused on making the games and making it work in a digital way, then they would have had some better future. So, what else?
Oh my gosh, guys. Microsoft is designing a handheld with a 4K display. I'm sorry. A 4K display that this tiny, that is not 4K. That is just crazy. That is just pushing HD.
Hey, if people buy bottled air, they're gonna buy 4K. That's wrong. So yeah, what else in the concept of portable?
See, and then you triggered everyone. Everybody's now just going, "Oh, dishes. Where?"
No, we mean official washing dishes, not washing dishes.
Which is like I keep seeing there's a topic in the suggestions queue for folding clothes. And what are you trying to ask people? Do you really want to know how I fold clothes? I don't think so. I'm on to you.
And it's not like we can show it on this channel. So,
Terrible.
yeah. Oh, yeah, there are adult toys that are, you wear it and then you can squeeze with your muscles and then that has the character move. I mean, those things exist.
Sounds like it's not held in a hand. So I guess it's not a handheld console.
Okay, let's just move and close this episode because we are over 30 minutes. Unless there's any last few words.
Did you have a lot of fun, Toby? Did you have a lot of fun?
That was more than 30 minutes, and obviously we had a lot of fun. We hope you guys all had a lot of fun too. We hope you will join us next time, which might be Thursday.
Oh
not
yeah,
tomorrow.
we got a game tomorrow. So,
Yes.
but yeah. But if you have questions or suggestions for other episodes, you can fill out the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. A reminder that if you suggest a part 2, you're not gonna get it until next year. Okay? Part 2s are unlikely to happen. Follow us on Twitter. All Toby No Shade. RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog. That's baduypride.com. You'll see all our previous episodes and other snippets about us.
Oh wait, we didn't get to highlight. We are wearing the same gaming shirts we wore for the retro gaming episode. See, I got the
Yeah.
weird Mario thing,
I have,
which are not traditional handheld console games, but it's what we
that's
got.
where a shark comes in.
Yeah. Okay. Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. Let us know, what handheld consoles did you play? Are you arguing that Tamagotchi is not a handheld game? And how many brick games did you own? Okay. Be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride.
Thanks
Oh,
for
boy.
watching. Keep your hands busy.
Okay. Ready? What? Okay.